receiving the body at Kololo today?
Well, where we are here today, we are now just seeing a parade forming, and the parade is being mounted by assistant commissioners of police. Now, these are the ones who have been doing it from the time when we received the body on Friday at Entebbe International Airport, and they've been charged to do this, and they're the ones doing this. So, where we are here today, we do not see anybody specifically, like we saw at Entebbe and like we saw yesterday at Parliament, somebody waiting to receive the body. So we're only thinking they're going to do the traditional ceremonies as they normally do them, then the body will be put where it's supposed to be put and wait for the others. I don't see anybody here receiving the body as we've seen for the past days.
Now, Jageda, if you've got a copy of the program, can you take us through today's program?
Say what you said again.
If you've got a copy of the program, can you take us through today's program?
I am not at liberty where I am to take you through the program because we are in movements back and forth, but later we will be able to share the program with you. But where I am now, I can't get into checking the program, to look at it, but I have the booklet with me.
So far, who has arrived and who has not yet arrived?
Well, you're talking about, I think, VVIPs, but we saw a delegation from the DRC, and we've seen judges, the religious leaders, and quite a number of people who have come. So we just wait to see officially who is here, especially for those who are invited to be part of the ceremonies today.
God soil, and you may be wondering why the religious leaders say soil into soil, and then other things they say dust to dust. So that is where we came from. But after creating us from that dust, God breathed in that human being life. And then
back to studio, Jagenda has painted a picture for us of what is happening at Kololo. Let's look at this because earlier at the airport we found that everybody was there in time before the body arrived at Parliament, and out here we are seeing actually the opposite. That
if you looked at the traffic flow as the convoy was passing, you realize that there were a number of blockades. Now, for people, members of the invited people who may have not crossed the line, blocked. This now that the convoy has arrived, who missed to be there as scheduled, and you know Africans are sometimes good at that. They could be blocked.
There is no delay in Africa.
Exactly, they could be blocked in traffic, including members of Parliament. Remember, most of them had to go to Parliament
for COVID tests.
Yes, to get transport because I think moving in a bus or something like that. Now, if they were not part of the convoy, then they are also going to get there later. But we also have this they way sometimes people do their things here. After all, it is a person is dead, there is no hurry.
Well,
so
because my concern is that since 2020, when we had COVID, the effects of COVID, is that actually whenever there's a function in Kololo, you find that even people arrive after the guest of honors arrive. For example, every other time we're electing the speaker, you remember in 2021 that people kept on coming even when the president had come in, even when the process had started. They didn't begin with. So, and the issue was they were waiting for their COVID results. Just recently, also when we're having another election of the speaker, the same thing. Or even whenever there is a sitting at Kololo for legislature, you find that there is always that delay. So should we say that these are some of the effects of COVID?
It's sometimes indiscipline because why if you are late, you are late. why should you go there to inconvenience everyone? And I've seen this happen at a number of functions. There are people who just want to come late for purposes of making a statement. When everyone is seated and people are quiet, and then they arrive, then they make noise, and that one, you'll see they are stealing the show, like it is said. But it is indiscipline, especially if you are a member of cabinet and the president has arrived.
Before you've arrived.
And then you also visit arriving. What do you expect the master of ceremonies to say? To announce you arriving after the principal.
After the principal. So, or parliament.
Of parliament.
And you arrive after the speaker has arrived.
Has arrived. So that is indiscipline. Time is also part of the discipline that we have in life. Make sure you are there and prepare yourself, because you have no idea how stupid you can look when you get to a function late, and sometimes you get there and immediately you are being asked to say something. So, but if you are there, you are prepared, you look organized.
You're composed.
Exactly.
Yes.
And for public officers, when the senior person has already arrived, unless there is a reason as to why you should be late, then you don't even have to go there, because you consider yourself absent. It will be understood.
Now, Oulanyah, the late Jacob Lokoro Oulanyah was known for being
punctual, yes.
Punctual when it comes to time. And I think as we mourn him, this is something we'll be observing. That look here, he dressed in bow ties, which everybody now he says, look, as we mourn him, this is something we have to do. But also keeping time. I remember when the late Professor Sivambi died, and that was the thing. So look here, as we mourn him, we must actually also keep time, respect what is the principles that he stood for.
Yeah, sure. And we have seen people like I was told the late Vice President Kiseka also was very time conscious. Even at his age, still he will keep time. I'm told of had gone to a function and we found people putting up the tents and said, then we were preparing for vista. I say, okay, then he walked away. So sometimes time is very, very crucial, especially when you are a leader, because you program your life. It helps you to do many things with that time, but also the discipline. Because many people are looking at you, but if you cannot keep it for whatever reason, then there must be an explanation.
Now, somebody was joking some time back that in Africa, the best way to show your importance is by arriving late.
Yeah, that also happens. You get late and have made everyone yawn and sit and wait and finally.
And here you come. So these are some of the challenges that really.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that is the Bola dance and the culture of. We really sing a lot from the Bola dance. I believe now in this year no one should fail this question when it comes in PLOE. That is
exactly
the dance, the royal dance that is performed when an elderly person or a royal person dies among the Acholi.
Which will also be very important, because I mean we sometimes know a lot of Americans, a lot of Australians, the Aborigines and many others, which is good, but it's also better that we appreciate our own like this. Now, if a question comes in primarily of people who can dance during the burials. I mean, then it promotes.
Yeah, this is part of SST.
Exactly.
And I guess no one should fail this question if it comes in the PLOE.
Sure.
Yes, they should do, because now the Bola dance is everywhere.
Exactly.
And gone are those days when, I normally meet those who are studying and practicing journalism. I say that, look here, in the 70s, we only had UTV. And only accessed in Entebbe, Jinja, Kampala, and a few towns. But now you see UBC and other media houses everywhere you go, even deep in the village, you can access it. So this is how the country has transformed. Because now you can imagine if we still had only UTV then, and maybe accessed in a few major towns, now people would only be relying on either Radio Uganda and other FM stations.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, we now have a liberation in that area. Many people, but also it also has come with its own effects. Social media, for example, in most cases, you fail to understand if you are not capable of, if you don't have the tools of interpreting and assessing and sieving the information. Sometimes the multi-channels are not necessarily the sources of reliable information. We have people now having all their boredom and all their stress on those channels. But it's important that the information is there, and it is you who can make use of it, whichever way you want to use it.
No, of course, social media has its own effects, but also people also should learn to use it. That even when you're on social media, you should know what are the credible sites and who are the credible sources, because not everybody or not everything that is posted that makes sense. You don't know. You need to know who is posting, who has said it, and how many people have perhaps received the information and can verify that is authentic.
Yeah, because for me, if I have my handle, I just need to have hits. I just need to have the numbers, the followers. And if I'm going to create something that's going to bring for me those numbers in social media, that is very okay. But you are looking at the credible sources, credible information issues that we can promote, because many people don't know that there are dances that you can have. We have been hearing, but maybe it has not been as elaborate much here. This is also very good for the promotion.
You know, this is why I think I like the people in Rwanda, that they have promoted there. They will look out to be performed. And I think also Jama Fest. Jama Fest is a Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki cultural festival. It's every after 2 years, but it was interrupted by COVID.
You have no idea when people dance Kadodi, campaigning. The first time was campaigning. When Kadodi was introduced in Kenya.
When of course, that is when he was in Bungoma.
Yes. And women had to abandon their cooking.
To see what is happening.
Exactly.
Yes.
So some of, and this Africa is rich, and with all the dynamism and the many, I think this on any social site, and you look at the music, I think we are too much into other people's things. But
time they really had. Should I say had colonized the continent with their music?
Exactly.
Is that most of actually something that was, when you look at the likes of this, is it the Kwasa Kwasa? Yes, the same. So when you look at most of their songs, it was they would actually have got them from the folk songs they used to have when they were still young, and even the way it had a lot of their culture in Congo. Now, when you come to the people in Zanzibar, of course, you look at their Tarab. It has something to do with the style that can sell, can sell that culture, but also sell the continent.
But the problem there is the laziness with which we do our things. Make us our identity. We negate Africa band when it, and my worry is that only have to wear. Now, when finally they disappear, what will happen? The Kadongo Kamus who have been hearing people here, and even not only in Uganda, they to the incoming generation. Now, if we cannot do that, then that's a disaster. But what we need to do is that blend, mix the young ones, the old. How do we protect our local instruments? Because some of these instruments are about us and they are unique the way they are made, and the attachment that we have to some of these instruments. So we can maintain the beat fine, but let's also look at the whole scenario of how to protect our traditional music and our traditional instruments.
And one could also easily say that Africans are very much in love with their culture, and especially their traditional dances and songs. You remember this Wanchekecha, when he came up, Saida Karol, when he came up with his song, Maria's Salome, and it became a hit.
Yes.
in Tanzania, Uganda, and DRC. It became a serious hit because the language was actually appealing. Even the beats, the instruments used, the Afrobeat in the song, that everybody was like, yes, this is our very, very own. We remember we had the Atwoti song from Kenya, and you see how it really spread within the Luo community from Kenya, Tororo, northern Uganda, and even Sudan and some parts of Congo. Yeah, because it was a song that was appealing. And when you look at also the ethnic distribution on the continent, that such a dance, you know that it will be welcome in Sudan, it will be welcome in DR Congo, in Uganda, and in Kenya. Now, when you look at the Rwandese dance, you're sure it will be welcome in Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, Uganda, and also Tanzania. Now, like you talked about the Kadodi, definitely it's more than welcome in Kenya because of the large grouping of the Luhya people in Kenya. So these are some of the things that we have to look at.
Yeah, sure. And we need the people that, especially like we said, the professionals should provide guidance in that line because people have gone to school to study music, but sometimes when they come back and what they do with that music, you wonder what is happening, because we have seen songs here that cannot live to their first anniversary. No, within a few months it has disappeared. You can't even remember where it went. So I think it's also good for professionals as they compose this music. They ought to also be aware of the legacy, of the longevity of these songs. There was a time when we had the South African music. It took Africa by surprise. And some of it has remained around for quite some time.
No, I think the music is that was sung on purpose. It was sung for a purpose that was very, very clear.
Exactly.
Because they used the music as a tool, as a weapon to fight apartheid.
Yes.
And really you realize that that is why the music really was here and there. But even they used theater, like you remember the famous Sarafina. Before we were in love with the Nigerian movie Nollywood. At least South Africa had given us a number of movies that was highlighting exactly what they were going through.
Exactly.
But we can only say that maybe when they achieved what they wanted, because they used the music and entertainment and as a weapon to fight apartheid. But now that apartheid was no more, they failed to have a paradigm shift, and actually now you can see the music and film industry has totally collapsed, and the Nigerians who looked now at a new dimension of domestic violence, and they came up now, and that is why you find that they managed to be everywhere.
Sometimes having no focus can also be dangerous, because we used to have a man was called Wahiru, I think. He was a columnist in Kenya. And every other weekend you'd go to his column, he's talking about Moi. Either Moi had a bad tie that day, or he had something. One time he said he was comparing him with the others. But finally when Moi left power,
the column died. because ideally he was obsessed with Moi.
Exactly.
So when Moi was no, so it's just the same thing with South Africans, because Mandela said that after climbing one big mountain, you realize that there are other mountains also to climb. So their focus was on apartheid. After apartheid, there was a need for them to go to get a paradigm shift. Now we're singing against apartheid. Now what next? And I think that is where they really got it wrong. Yeah, that's where they got it wrong, and they got stuck.
We have dealt a lot about music, because you remember the late Honorable Oulanyah was a music lover. And you could find him cutting all strokes.
all strokes.
Including Paka Chin.
Yes, yes.
There was that time when sometimes people when they went Chin, some of them could not come back.
They would just collapse.
Exactly. Yeah. But for him, he could go down and then come up, and he was a very flamboyant dancer. And that's why we have dealt much on the music part and in his day.
And when it comes to music, it was not only the modern music, but even his own actually.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he would dance all these, the raka raka, the bola, the ding ding, and all the, yes.
Exactly. And when you look at the beats in that the music you have mentioned, including the ding ding, and there's also this one of the bates with this long nani. You know, the African beat is so rich, but I think there is also a need for professionals in that area to create a theatre specifically. We have a national theatre down here, but of course over time it has now even become small.
It becomes smaller.
But I think
there was a suggestion that we should have regional theatres, so that we can have maybe a theatre in Soroti Ombali to cater for the cultures in eastern Uganda, one in north and maybe one in western Uganda, and perhaps one in either Masaka for now the culture in central, and then we can have now the national theatre that brings all together. Because ideally, when you look at, I think don't you think they are really overwhelmed when it comes to promoting now which culture will they promote and which one will they leave? But when you have regional theaters, I think now they can now look deep into that, so that they can make sure that these cultural dances are really developed and also marketed. They can also be an activity of tourism. Tourism activity, but also they can also be used as an income generating.
But you know, the other thing is that maybe something that needs to be promoted, because Ugandans are not very good at theatre, at going to these places. I personally had not done so with the National Museum. I went there some time back. I had not myself gone there, and I know many Ugandans have not. But when you go to the National Museum, there's something that you learn about this country. And if we have those in regions, talk about
regional museums.
Yes, talk about the people, how they used to live, how they used to eat, how they used to dress, how they were conducting themselves in barrios like this, in images. It is very important, because we are not going to have all of these things forever. I was in Korea, and in Korea they have created these theaters, these places where they are displaying poverty. And when you look at what the Koreans are displaying as images of poverty from the past, you see us living that life. No wonder sometimes people come here that they are touring, but they're just coming to see
the poverty levels.
The poverty that we are living. Of course, we are not worse than some people, or we are not worse than even them who have gone out of that poverty. But the most important thing we're talking is that we need to have a trace of our history, so that when tomorrow life changes, because we're improving, we're modernizing. Those that are paths tomorrow will be roads, and later on we'll have many other things happening. But how do we maintain those images? Last time when you were passing down here, we used to have the tower, the Queen's Way.
Queen's Way, yes.
Now that tower is not there.
Now we have a flyover being constructed.
It will be put back. But you know, that transition, that history also needs to be documented. That this is how we have over the years
we've transformed. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is actually very, very, very important. That you know, like Tom Mboya said, a country without history is like a face without a nose. So let us live in line with our history, we as Ugandans, and maybe that's where now the cultural institutions have to play part, that instead of perhaps at times engaging in partisan politics, they have a lot to do for us. They have a lot to actually do for us in terms of documenting, in terms of reminding us, in terms of also making us appreciate our culture. I was like, there was a time I was in Fort Portal, and I moved around the town, and I was looking for firinda. I couldn't find it anywhere. I was like, look here. Now, if I can't eat firinda in Fort Portal, where else can I have it? And I was like, you people, this is when we come here. This is what I need. I need the oboro. I need the firinda. At least I know that yes, I'm now in Fort Portal.
I was annoyed last time when I was in Mbale. We are known for growing coffee, but you go to every shop and every place and you say, I want to have coffee. Say, we have tea. Then you are like, because we now need to create, now that we're creating some of these cities, let's attach a particular value to that city. If we say Fort Portal is a tourism city, then let's have things that make Fort Portal unique. Why
yes.
it is. And if we say now Mbale is a coffee city, let's have coffee bars all over the place, so that when you want to go to have coffee, then it is in Mbale. So, and when you say Jinja is an ICT city, then let's have it there. Because other than that, then we shall just stop at eulogies. So this is how we used to live, because we're no longer living. This is what we thought would be, but we can do and we can achieve this in a very short run. But I think it's also good to have the promotion, like someone was telling us, for us who come from Gisland. If you are talking of what to promote, then you have a culture to promote. Package it very well, and that's what you can promote. Because each particular society has a particular value that they can promote, the niche that they can promote. In Uganda, we now have the dances that are promoted. And then what do we add to that to make it valuable? Now, culture is dynamic, but once you over-modernize, then you sometimes lose
you lose certain things.
Yes.
Because on actually, because Oulanyah was somebody who stood for his culture very, very, very seriously, and we have to learn so many things from him. Before the cassava leaves were actually attacked by now this strange pest that is eating them up. I remember there was a time I was at the border in Bwera, and I was like, went to a hotel, about 4 or 5 of them, looking for sombe, and I couldn't get. I was like, now, if I can't eat sombe in Bwera, I said, okay, where else? Maybe I said, well, these people in Bwera have become GMOs. Let me cross over to Kasindi.
Exactly.
And when I went to Kasindi, I found there was a lot of sombe.
Exactly.
Here. You see, Jack?
Yeah. So sometimes, I mean, if I can go to Mbale and I cannot eat malewa, for example, then I'm not there. So we need to use some of this. Because each country, each part of the world is privileged differently in terms of culture, in terms of whatever they do for a living. So we can use that. I mean, how can you go to an Ethiopian restaurant and you cannot eat injera? It must be there. And by the way, unlike Ugandans, Ethiopians, you will not leave their restaurant without having their coffee.
No,
definitely.
Actually, just like the Kikuyu, they have their special food called githeri.
Yeah,
There's no way you can go to any hotel in Mount Kenya region and
you can't
find githeri. You'll always find it there. And that's one thing I actually like them. But just like also the Maasai, they have a particular drink that is made out of bones, cow bones.
Yeah.
And everywhere you go from Kajiado deep there, you'll always find it there. You know, and the Maasai are credited for always loving their culture. At least their attires, you are sure you'll get those Maasai dresses.
Yeah, there's also this.
You'll also get
I forget the name more. I forget the name, but it is they get the intestine and put their meat. Sometimes put their blood.
Yes.
And then they cook it.
So these are things that when you actually when you're in Namanga, because that is Maasai land, when you're in Kajiado, even as you go to Arusha, you'll always find those things. That you go to a hotel, you're sure you'll find those things. On the roadside, you'll find their you find the Maasai clothing.
Yeah.
Yes, the hats. Yes.
So it is very important for a society to have that, and you pass it over to the next generation. We are having a problem here. How many of the girls now, maybe at university, from whichever part of the world, live around Uganda, because maybe Uganda it was not very developed, who can go on the grinding stone and milk alone? You see, so some of the things, because if now I want to do the milling, I just go to the grinding mill and it will do the job for me, which is good, because technology is supposed to make our lives better and easier and comfortable. But we should not also forget how we have come. And my grandmother will tell you, if you make that kalo from the grinding mill, say, no, but this one, is not the one I'm used to, because for her she's used to, to her.
No,
and these women, as they do this, they're also singing the song, and it also adds to the relationship in the home. But science has sometimes helped us, but like Chinua Achebe say, some of the things the white man put things that held us together, and they were falling apart. But these cultural things are also important. As we progress with our technology, we can use the technology still to better our lives, but also move in that long line of the history that we have.
No, assuming really we invested much in our culture, especially when it comes to the foods, the attires, I think would also be generating funds for ourselves. Because now you walk into a conference room, and there is you are served rice from Pakistan. You're given Nescafe from is it UK? Yet we have our Elgon coffee. So I mean, these are some of the things, because now if you get into somewhere, let me walk into you guys. Let me walk into a conference, and I find there is matoke. That is if it is in central Uganda. If it is in perhaps in Teso, let me find my potato. You know that yes, I'm now supporting the people there. Instead of maybe in the evening serving beers, let me find some ajono. And you're really adding value to the farmer. Deep in Kanyum, you have a farmer deep in Akibu, you're adding value onto them. Now, when I'm in Uganda, if I take my Mwenge Bigere, I'm adding value to somebody deep in Luvumbula, deep in Chiringente. You're now adding value onto them. Rather than you're there, you're just having beer, you're having sodas. Or if I'm in Ankole, instead of giving me soda, get me some milk, so that I know that I'm adding value to the cattle keeper. Yes.
Yeah, some people are not fast at adopting, because I normally tell people, why should I go to Gulu and I'm asking for matoke? There's something that I can eat from Gulu,
yes,
which will be different from the matoke. And if I'm in Uganda, why would I even ask for kalo? It's not going to be there. And if I'm in Fort, then I'm going to eat kalo and something like nani. So you are learning something about this particular place that you have visited, and it sticks with you. Then you are in this place but still want to eat things that you have been eating back at home. And for me, I normally tell people when I visit, you prepare for me what you know best, because you may not prepare the meat that I want to eat because there's a particular way I want it eaten, but there's something that you are rich at that you can prepare for me, and I'll appreciate that. And that's the diversity we're talking about. We can no longer hang on what we only have. We also need to open to learn new cultures, new experiences, and this is what makes humanity complete, because you are not going to stick only on your lane, but you also need to learn what happens in other people's lives. And that's very important for a country like Uganda, which has a number of 50 tribes, and with a number of dances, a number of experiences, foods, a number of dressings, a number of all those need to be appreciated, so that finally when we sit together we can agree and we can disagree, but learning from what other people believe and what they do, it helps us to be a complete
actually, I've also talked about the dressings. When you're out of the country and you talk about the dressing culture in Uganda, somebody will tell you of the gomes for the women and maybe a mishanana, but of course we share the mishanana with the people of Rwanda, and Burundi and Eastern Congo. Yes. But at least the gomes, do you know somebody? Yes, this is for Uganda. And I don't know, because this is something, and I was very happy that we saw women dressed in black gomeses. Yes, this is part of our dress code as Ugandan if you're a woman. Now the other thing that also needs to come out here is for the men, the kanzu. And we only buy kanzus when we're going for introduction.
Dresses, yes. I can see, I think this, I can see people in yellow, they led by the secretariat or something like that, but I guess.
But are they Gomeses?
No, not Gomeses.
Yes, but we also have yellow Gomeses. You get it.
Exactly.
So these are some of the things: the Gomesi, the Mishanana, but to the men, the Kanzus. Yes, and we've just misinterpreted that we only put on Kanzus when we're going for Kuchala. When we are going
but also people need to learn, because some people think that Kanzus and Gomeses are for the central part of Uganda.
Yes, I know, but this is a symbol for Uganda. When you're out there, you talk about, just like we have the Nigerian wares. Like when there was actually now tonight West African kind of attire, that somebody from West Africa, wherever they are, they're always dressed in that particular attire. So now also we as Ugandans, we should also learn to have these kanzus. Maybe we can have the types of kanzus for those ceremonies like introduction, marriage, and so on. And then we can also have other types of kanzus that one can actually put on any function. So I think this is something that
I think the central part of Uganda has done very well in that, because you have a kanzu for introduction, you have a kanzu for burial, you have a kanzu for other functions if you have to go to Bulangi and the rest. But this were actually not traditional for Uganda. They have come with the time and improved from the time they were brought in by Arabs. Gomez, of course, was an Indian who was making uniforms for Namagunga. But over time, the Gomez has now outlived the Gomez, the man who must have died long time ago. So these are things that sometimes we talked of dynamic as culture as a dynamic. I was in India, and I was meant to understand that one of why Uganda is unique is that you have many ladies in Uganda who dress like Indians. This suka which they put
the suka, yes.
And that's typical of the Indian dressing. I think it's only in Seychelles where there are also many Indians, and some of those
Mauritius as well.
Mauritius, where the Indians were taken there, now become a bigger society. Uganda is also one of the areas where you have Indians and Ugandans are blending so well. Might just they don't intermarry commonly, but I think the culture intermarries, overlaps so easily. So if we promoted the kanzu, and we have seen this when you go for international sports and Ugandans are donning their jackets and the kanzus, it looks unique and very beautiful. When else where people are skimping, Ugandans are decent. And to me, that is very important.
Yeah, of course, as we mourn the late Jacob Lokori Oulanyah, one of the things that he really stood for is culture. And a number of times he has actually presided over cultural functions and at the Uganda National Cultural Center, the National Theatre. And he was one of those people really they would look at when it comes to issues of culture. And I remember also during the CPA, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Session, they had their actual conference in Uganda. He also he took the delegates through some of our African norms and languages, saying that Africa, he actually shares the same view with President Yoweri Museveni, that African languages are rich in vocabulary, and especially I think the Luo language is also rich, that where in English you are going to use about 4 or 5 words in the African setting, one word is enough, and yes, and you've communicated. Yeah. So these are issues that he was also very, very passionate about in terms of the African language, the African culture. So these are things that he stood for, and we should actually also emulate as and when we are mourning him today. Remember, the chief mourner is expected to be President Yoweri Museveni, the fountain of honor. I don't know whether Jagenda
the Chief Justice now arriving, and I think we can connect with the Jagenda to tell us exactly what is happening in Kololo now.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, once again in studios, good morning and welcome to Kololo Independence Grounds, where we are today to accord the Right Honorable Jacob Lokori Oulanyah a state funeral, as the program has already been elaborated to us. Now, just right with me here is the Honorable Dr. Chris Bariomunsi. He's a Minister for ICT, but he's also a SEC member. I'm happy to see you, sir, and of course it is where we are. Let me hear your thoughts, first and foremost, as we're mourning Jacob Lokori Oulanyah firstly as a member of parliament, as a member of SEC, and of course a leader in the party and also in the government. We've had you say lots of things, but here we are again to mourn Oulanyah.
Yes, we are here in Kololo to mourn our friend Jacob Oulanyah. You know the law, the Parliamentary Pensions Act. It provides that if a speaker or a deputy speaker die in office, then they have to be accorded a state funeral. And part of the requirements of state funeral is that we shall have prayers in a designated place, in a prayer place, a prayer worship area, or any area which cabinet approves. And we did approve Kololo to be the venue where we shall hold the prayers. That's why we are here. We shall greatly miss Jacob Oulanyah. He was the member of parliament, like we have said, for Moro County. We elected him to be our Speaker of Parliament, 11th Parliament, although he has not had time to really lead us as a Speaker. He was the Vice Chair of NRM for Northern Uganda. We sat together in the Central Executive Committee. I am the Vice Chair for Western Region, and therefore we're very close in the party, in the Parliament, and in the government. There are many great things we shall remember Jacob Oulanyah for. One of them, he was a great timekeeper. He introduced a new culture of keeping time in Parliament, where the plenary sessions began at 2 p.m. Indeed, by 2 p.m. he would be seated in the chambers. Whether you are one person or two members of Parliament, he would start. He was a disciplined person, very honest. If you agreed to do something, he would do it. And he had a heart of forgiving. Even when anybody fell out with him, he would look for him and then they reconcile and make up. He never wanted to keep grudges. And he was incorruptible. He was not moved by this greed and wanting material things of this world. He was not that character who wanted to be corrupt and to amass wealth and amass riches. No, I can vouch for him that he was not that character. And he was dedicated to do his work. He loved his work. You saw even when he was not feeling all right, he tried to chair Parliament. The last time he chaired in June when we were having the budget read, he was very sick. He actually almost collapsed in the Parliament here in Kololo that day. So he loved his work and he suffered this challenge of cancer and he was in great pain. The days when we were going through campaigns, the days when we elected him as Speaker, he was in pain, but he was not showing it. He was very resilient, very strong, and committed to the service of this country.
Does the death of Jacob Oulanyah bring any opportunities to us or only challenges? What are we learning from this? What are the things that we take from this? Jacob Oulanyah is just the first Speaker to die in office. We've lost so many VIPs in the country. We've lost so many people. We've lost religious leaders. We've lost cultural leaders. But what do we pick from Jacob Oulanyah's death? For better, for worse?
Well, you know, he died in Seattle, in the US, and we have had time to discuss, to talk, and people have talked. And there are opportunities that we pick from this, or lessons we pick. Like the talk about tribalism was reignited in the wake of his death. And I think as a country, we must reflect on this because Ugandans got united further as we mourned and celebrated the life of Jacob Oulanyah. But again, there were voices which were trying to raise issues of tribalism, which again is a challenge to all of us as a country, that we need to sit and look back and see how do we move forward as a country which has people of different ethnic backgrounds, but united as a country. There have also been questions of health care in this country. Why did he die in the US? Could this open our eyes that we should do everything possible to improve the status of healthcare in this country so that we refer as few people as possible, if we must, outside the country, so that we improve. And as government, we pick that lesson positively and we should be able to do something. But I can say that one of the challenges that we have been having, like saying the management of cancer, is that we refer patients, or patients refer themselves, especially for diagnostic capacity of our healthcare system. Cancer has been killing many people because we detect it when it is too late. But I can tell the country, like we did say yesterday in Parliament, that the government is strengthening the Uganda Cancer Institute. We're actually building it to become a center of excellence. And we have already installed the machines, like what we call the linear accelerators. We are procuring what we call a PET scan. PET is the positron emission tomography, which is very helpful in detecting cancer in its earlier stages. And that is a very important aspect of diagnosing and managing cancer. So we are trying our level best to improve healthcare so that we minimize on the referrals, on the medical tourism where Ugandans are referred abroad. But of course, medical referral is a normal phenomenon. It doesn't eliminate referrals even if we equip Mulago Hospital and the Cancer Institute, but majority of the cases will still be handled here, and maybe few can only be.
Thank you very much. Now, one very final one is, even when we fix the health systems and we have everything in there, what would you tell the people, especially because it starts with me, before the Cancer Institute comes to me or before I go to the Cancer Institute, it starts with me to maybe detect and say, let me do this, let me do that, before it gets to where, because the majority of us want to go to hospitals at times when we are at stages of irredemption.
What we usually advise people is that we should go for medical checkups. Whether you are feeling bad or not, regularly, yes. Whether you are feeling okay, you have no any complaint, you should walk to a health facility. And our health facilities have ability to check whether you have a problem or not. And also, through the Ministry of Health, we are now decentralizing cancer institutes. There is a process to have a cancer institute in Mbarara, in Iguru, in Mbale, in West Nile Arua, so that we don't only come to Mulago where the Cancer Institute is, but also in these regional referral hospitals, we can have the cancer managed. And we are building capacity of the doctors so that they are able to manage these cases of cancer. But the mainstay of handling this is to go for medical checkups, but also our health workers should be able to use the radios and other platforms to educate people on the do's and don'ts. What are the predisposing factors towards cancer and most of these non-communicable diseases? So we need to strengthen medical education, sensitization, so that people know what to do, they change their lifestyle, and they avoid all those risk factors which expose you to challenges of cancer. So, and this is a great lesson which we pick, because cancer is on the rise. There is actually an epidemic of cancer in this country, which we must tackle head on.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi.
Thank you very much, and once again, may the soul of Jacob Oulanyah, our brother, rest in eternal peace.
Thank you very much. Dr. Chris Baryomunsi is the Minister for ICT and National Guidance in this country, and he's also a member of the Central Executive Committee representing the people of Western Uganda. He's Vice National Chairman, Western Uganda, and he was sharing the same committee there with the late Jacob Oulanyah of Northern Uganda. Now, just right behind me here, as you can see, is the body of Jacob Oulanyah, and it is being surrounded, of course, by the bola dancers from Acholi, a sub-region. They've been doing this from the time when the body of Oulanyah came into the country here on a Friday 1st. But remember that the officers of Uganda Police Force at the rank of ACPs, the Assistant Commissioners of Police, are the ones charged with manning and managing the remains of Jacob Oulanyah, just right here as you can get to see. Now, another member of Parliament here from Honorable Okot John Amos, from Gago, North County in Acholi sub-region. Exactly. What does this mean to start with, and on such a day like this today?
A hero. Jacob Oulanyah is our hero. This symbolizes that this is a brave person, a courageous man, honest person, the person who is focused, the person who loves people wholeheartedly. Once you have that character, we honor you. We celebrate your life. We celebrate all what you have been doing in our cultural way. Okay. And because of that, all the Acholi people, the Luo community, they see this as a symbol of a true son of the soil. Okay. And Jacob has been one of them. First of all, he had been a guy who was highly multicultural person. He has been somebody highly accomplished. He could do all sorts of things, ranging from his childhood. Jacob was rooted in the culture.
Okay. How do you blow it now? Can I just hear some sound from it? And how
It will come out, don't worry. Rock, rock.
So what does the sound mean? What is the sound communicating at such a place, at such a function, and where we are today?
This is calling all the indigenous people. That is a problem.
Oh, okay. That's the sound.
There is a problem. With that problem, we need to condole together. We need to come and assemble together to face it. The problem could be death. The problem could be war. Or even when the people are celebrating, you have to blow the horn. You have to call. You have to make an alarm so that people come together. If a woman was there, she would make an ovulation. We call it ojili in our language. The moment you blow a horn, the woman will come forward straight to give courage, to strengthen you. Because if you are going in a time like this, you need to strengthen your heart. You need to strengthen your heart so that tears doesn't roll from a man.
Okay.
Doesn't roll from a man.
Okay. I also just want to know this from you. When you're dancing the bola dance, it is the same dance when you're celebrating. It's the same dance when you're mourning. What differentiates it? Is it the movement of the dancing, or it is the sound of the rhythm of the songs that you sing?
Well, we are rich in cultures. The bola dance, one of them is for the royal. Number two, if you're a king, a royal like Jacob Oulanyah, we welcome you with the bola dance. And the songs that they sing will not be the same with the songs that they sing when you are being buried. So the one that are singing now, it is associated to death. And it is a mourning songs. When you are mourning, you sing those kind of songs. But still, you don't just do it anyhow. We do it selectively. We do it to people who matters. People of a high caliber. Leaders, kings, princes, and prince. Those are the people who target them. It is not just any other ordinary person. Even though you have been in that leadership position, but you lack the integrity that call for that such kind of honor, they will not give you. We do it, and when we are doing it, we do it without pretending. We do it wholeheartedly. And for us, we don't know how to pretend. The Luo community, they don't know how to pretend. Once you don't like something, they tell you don't like it. Whether you like it or you don't like it, we shall tell you. If something is right, you can't even recall when Jacob was here. When he was talking about corruption, he said, who is the corrupt? The corrupt are we, our neighbors, our children.
He said it here in
And he
Kololo.
was talking with passion. He was speaking, the president was there. And he said, Mr. President, let us not pretend.
We are the corrupt.
We are the corrupt. We cannot pretend unless we start not giving the audience to this one who we are trying to gratify them. You see, that is a real heart. And if we could only emulate that, if we could only take it up the way everybody in Uganda would wish corruption to die, we will fight corruption not less than even 3 months.
Thank you very much.
Concluded.
Thank you very much. Honorable Amos Okot.
John Okot. Amos John Okot.
Amos John Okot he surprised me and told me his name Okot means Chiwanuka.
My dear,
Did
that
you
is
say
a
that?
you know, we are Africans. We are Africans, and being in Africans, we mean names is a connotation of certain things.
Exactly.
And in Luganda, it means Kiwanuka.
Okot is Chiwanuka.
Okot.
So, anybody out there and you're called Chiwanuka, your other name could be called Okot. Thank you so much, Honorable, from Agago North constituency.
County.
Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we are here at Kololo, Independence Grounds. Now, joining me is the Honorable Abel, representing the people of Kitgum, also from Acholi sub-region. What should we expect, especially after here, when we get to Choli for Barrio? Because we yet don't know. We do not know how to go through this, and what should we expect, especially after here and when we go to Acholi this evening?
Well, I must confirm that the preparations for the decent send-off of our brother, Right Honorable Dr. Jacob Oulanyah, is going on well, and on ground, people are waiting to receive the body. I must admit and confirm that it's a very sad moment for people in Omoro, for Acholi sub-region, for Lango, for West Nile and the entire country. So people are in tears. They are crying. And when people are crying, when they've lost somebody whom they love, they have all sorts of ways of tears and all questionings and here and there. Why Jacob? What killed him? And so all these questions are on ground. But of course, we have to understand that people will mourn and people will cry for their beloved ones in all different sort of ways. But one thing I want to appeal to the people of Uganda and the people at home is that Jacob has gone, but he has not left us. Jacob did wonders. He made us proud. He left legacies. He did a lot of foundation building for quite a number of people. And I know that those who have taken Jacob's training, mentorship, will definitely emerge to be good leaders in future. They will be patriotic Ugandans. They will work for Uganda. They will be hands clean. Jacob had no, controversies, had nothing that you'd say, this is something that tins his name. So for me personally, I celebrate his life. I am grieved, yes, but one thing that gives me comfort is that Jacob defined for the people who he was. He set an example. So as one of the leaders from the region, what I look at is how do I emulate his good deeds in Uganda? What can I do that will better what he had started? How can we keep united? How can we foster development among the people? How do we look at transforming this country into a middle income status? And how do we, as leaders, take the lead? We show the way. That was Jacob's passion. School and education was one of the things that he looked up to, and quality education. So this leaves us with a big challenge.
Well, we all admit it's very somber. It's a very bad moment for all of us, for the country, for the family of Oulanyah, for you from the region, etc. But how should we leverage? What lessons, what advantages would we take from this bad situation? What good things would we look at and say, Oulanyah died, but out of Oulanyah's death, apart from his legacy, but we also came out victorious in this particular way?
One thing I have learned from Jacob Oulanyah's death is that indeed people die. One important thing in the world is health, good health. Everything you do, pay attention to your health. Everything you do, live your life to the fullest. Just invest your time in touching human beings. Invest your wealth in human beings. Because the property we acquire today will definitely perish and we leave them in the world. So if you develop somebody, touch someone's life, support somebody, those are the things people will talk about. Because if you pick anybody in this country and say, tell us about Jacob Oulanyah, they will tell you he was an intelligent man, he was an honest man, he detested corruption, he worked tirelessly, he was a timekeeper, he loved people, and he wanted Uganda to be a better place. So there are quite many good things we can talk about Jacob, but it's a key lesson that let's invest our wealth in helping others, and also let's define ourselves for people. When I die tomorrow, what will people say about me? For me, that is what I question, like all these good things they're talking about. When I die, when Lillian, you're out of this world, what will people say about you? Because that's a challenge I'm looking at. But also, Ugandans must develop a sense of appreciating people when they are still alive. Most times when people are still alive and they're in big leadership positions, we tend to castigate them. We tend to focus more on the small mistakes they make, and we make it very big, and we demoralize them. So I want to look at a country that will wake up in the morning and post on social media that, hey, look here, Right Honorable Anita Among, you're doing a great work for this country. Big up and continue what you're doing. That motivates people, and it gives energy and make you feel like you're being loved when you're still alive.
Thank you, Honorable Lillian Abel, and please accept our condolences once again. We bereave with you, and we continue to condole with all of you and, of course, all the nation. Lillian Abel is the woman member of parliament representing Akitgum district. Akitgum is one of the districts that make Acholi sub-region where Jacob locally Oulanyah was coming from, and of course the region that you also represented as a vice chairperson of the National Resistance Movement at the Central Executive Committee. Well, here with me again is the Honorable Akol Anthony. Akol Anthony is the chairperson of the Acholi Parliamentary Committee or caucus. Well, I'm happy to have you, Honorable Akol. What should the world know, especially after here? We got the body of Oulanyah into the country on Friday. We've been with the body of Oulanyah until today, tomorrow, and finally on Friday we will lay him to rest. What should the world expect, especially for what they have not yet seen when we get to Acholi?
Well, from here we are going straight to Omoro, and the helicopter would lift the body from here tomorrow. But on the ground we have the members of Acholi Parliamentary Group and then some members of Parliament who are waiting for the body from that side. But above also we have the band, the UPDF band from 4th Division, and also we have the Bola dancers. Apart from this group, we have another Bola dancers who are waiting to welcome us as we go to Lalogi, and that is going to be in this afternoon. And then in the evening we'll have the vigil mass that will take place at home there. Tomorrow, the most important function that is going to take place is that we have the Council 5 of Acholi sub-region, of Lango sub-region, and then West Nile. You know, Jacob was the vice chairperson of NRM, sitting in the Central Executive Committee, representing Lango, Acholi, and West Nile. So he really tried to unite these three regions. You know, the three regions suffered a lot in terms of war. You will recall that at the time when Idi Amin was the president of this country, there was a lot of killing of people from Lango and Acholi. Then when Amin was taken over, you know, this government was taken over, there was a revenge from Acholi and Lango side on West Nile. And at one point also, Acholi and Langi, they have problem. When Obote was in government, they had problem, and then Acholi people also took over, and that kind of conflict was a lot. But when Jacob became the vice chairperson of NRM for the region, he tried very much to unite the three sub-region. You will recall that we even went to State House together as a team, and this three region has been united by the work of Jacob. And if anything, especially in Acholi sub-region, people voted for NRM not because they love NRM. They were really in love with Jacob. And it is a big gap. For me as FDC, I am seeing problem in NRM, and they need to work it out. Otherwise, it is not going to be easy for them to unite the sub-region and to also bring, you know, on board many other people whom Jacob was discussing with. But above all, there is a will that Jacob left, which this government have to work on it. He promised the people of Acholi sub-region. You will recall that UBOS came with the information that the poorest region is Acholi sub-region. He promised to get people out of poverty in the areas of Acholi, in the areas of Lango, areas of West Nile. And this is a will that this government has to work on. If they don't do that, that means there will be no legacy of Jacob in terms of uplifting people out of poverty. And that is our hope and our prayer, because if you take the sub-region in the same way, the way you are saying there is Paris development model all over Uganda, if somebody is left behind, there must be something extra. And I think the government has to work hard on this area. Yeah.
Well, apart from the council sitting tomorrow, the councils from Acholi, Lango, and West Nile, is there any other activity that is going to happen, especially cultural? Because we're seeing the whole of tomorrow before we get to Friday, which day will, of course, be a day for burial. What are the activities, especially the cultural bits to it?
Well, in terms of the cultural, you know, many people are talking about Jacob is going to be buried in a cultural way. What we are talking about is a mixture of what you are seeing in Kololo here. The cultural dance will be there. We will have tomorrow another team of Otole. Otole is a Luo dance, especially performed when you are going for war. So it is a symbol that if we could know where death comes from, we will fight it. And this is where we use the spears, we use the shield as a sign of fighting death. So that is the mix that you will see tomorrow, which has not been taking place from Friday after today. Here we had only the royal dancers, the bowlers. But when you reach tomorrow, from tomorrow going to Friday, you will see the Otole dancers will be mixing up there. But that is all we are talking about, the culture. No any other ritual that is going to be performed there. It is only the mixture of the cultural dances. Because Jacob used to like, you know, he used to like dancing and singing the traditional songs, you know. So he was a very good dancer, especially when it comes to bola, as you see. When it comes to la raka, the one who used the calabash. And then when it comes to Otole, he's so good in all that area. So that's why we're mixing it up in his memory. Otherwise, there is no any cultural thing that is going to happen. It's just manner. We are not going the traditional way.
Okay. 20th of March, according to today. But I know you have lots of things to say about the life of Jacob Oulanyah, whom you've grown with, known, and of course worked with. But what will you remember from the 19th of March until...
Even if the waters, including even the quotes, and how he was trying to unite the country, some of the quotes talking about the boundaries, the mountains, and the rivers that divide us is not thicker than the blood that unites us. These were things that people were not seeing. And if anything, we should learn from this point to see that we need each other in this country, Uganda. And it is important that we are taking custody for this country, for the younger generation. How are you going to leave this country? Are we going to live with a better country than where we found it? And this is something that Ugandans should unite, irrespective of whether you come from Acholi, you come from Buganda, you come from Nyankore, you know, or from Eastern Uganda, you are a Busoga or what. We need to unite to give a better country for our young generation. And that is something we have learned from him.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Anthony Akol. Anthony Akol is the chairperson of the Parliamentary Subcommission, the subcommittee, I beg your pardon, the caucus, the Acholi Parliamentary Caucus from Acholi sub-region. And that's the man. And of course, shared his thoughts with us. And very importantly, is many of us possibly only discovered at the death of Oulanyah that there were very good things in him that maybe we did not have an opportunity to cultivate a little earlier. Let me also speak to my brother here, the Honorable Geoffrey Macho, representing the people of Busia municipality in Busia. Thank you so much for joining us, Ndugu and Honorable Macho. I had you in Parliament yesterday, and of course you were sending the Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. You are a believer, and you do believe that Jacob Oulanyah is somewhere safe with the Father. You were sending him to plead for us. What did you mean, and do you still have the same sentiments? Welcome.
Yeah, true. I want to thank the viewers who are watching us right now. Yesterday, true, on floor of Parliament, I requested the Holy Spirit to use our late good brother Jacob Oulanyah to tell God how the prices of commodities have heightened in this country, which is a very, very big problem to the cost of living of Ugandans now. And at the same time, I requested him to send a message of forgiveness for the people, majorly those who went to the hospital in Shato, US, and demonstrated against him for being taken for treatment. And I believe he is a God, our Lord, because of his works. The Bible says you will know them by their works. And we got a very good news that towards the end of his death, he confessed Jesus Christ as his personal Savior, and that is what we need in this world. And this is what we call upon the whole world to do, because when we have God-fearing people, people who confess God as their Lord, we know that the rate of sinning is going to reduce in the world, and even the prisons will have less prisoners.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yesterday, while in Parliament, there were certain things that you adopted on the amendments and accepted them, and it was a very energizing meeting that we all witnessed. We first of all had you say every 23rd of March will be an annual memorial lecture day for Jacob Oulanyah. There was a proposal for one of our universities in the country here to also give him a posthumous PhD, because he has one from, I think, Latin America, from an American university, and we don't have one. But then, of course, these are some of the things. How would you rate the sitting yesterday, and what do you think came out of that, and how can we see that actualize from all the deliberations that you had as members of Parliament for the whole day yesterday?
The sitting of yesterday was very fantastic, because we discussed on issues that will leave Honorable Dr. Jacob Oulanyah as a hero in this country, because for what he has done, to be awarded a doctorate by a university in America, it meant that he's a global change agent who has helped a big number of orphans and needy children to study in this country. And at the same time, we considered him as a champion of helping the needy women. Because in Omoro, as I talk now, he set up a very big circle that women go and borrow money at very little interest, and they do their businesses to have a cost of living. But we added on more that Dr. Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, before he died, he had initiated a cancer hospital in Omoro, and we requested government that in memory of our late dear speaker, that cancer institute should be complete, and so that people from the northern part of the country, and even...
And I think it can also be named after him, yes, because we have Fred Hatch here at the Cancer Institute in Malaga.
Right. And also that institute to be named after him, so that his name does not disappear. Because on floor parliament I said political heroes don't die, and when they die they turn into flowers of kindness, of unity, and the flowers of linking us people who have remained on earth with God. And also another suggestion that was submitted is that I suggested, instead of having the parliamentary avenue, we would not mean Oulanyah Avenue, so that whoever moves near Parliament, he sees the name Oulanyah Avenue, and he remembers that we had a historical speaker who died when he was a speaker. That marker will never leave. And in the same process in Parliament, we requested the people of Omoro, in case they want to rub away the tears of horrible late Jacob Oulanyah, they should pick Oulanyah's son to go and finish the projects that Honorable Oulanyah has started. He had started a foundation which was going to have...
Does he have a son who qualifies to be a member of Parliament?
Yeah, true. He has a son of 36 years, okay, and that is a good age, and he has all the qualifications.
36, and he has the requisite academic qualifications.
Right. He's a graduate, and he's employed by government of Uganda somewhere. So that will help the son to finish the programs of establishing a television station and a radio station that was supposed to open up the northern Uganda and Omoro in particular to other parts of the country.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Macho Geoffrey from Busia Municipality. My head was thinking Garua, but thank you so much. Ndugu wa call in studios and Mututa, are you still with me?
And we are following you all the way through, and thanks a lot for bringing us and many viewers who are following this program on UBC and all its sister channels. We are with you, and we can now see the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Jessica Lupo, arriving at the Kololo Kololo grounds, and which means that any time the President of the Republic will be arriving for that service.
Ndugu Akol Mandi Amazima in studios, just right there. And Ndugu Mtuta. We are at Kololo here, and of course talking to different members of parliament, talking to different monarchs, as we also monitor to see. Members of parliament are coming in, invited guests are coming in, everybody is coming in. The religious leaders are all assembled and sat ready. I can see the entire Council of Presidents of the Interreligious Council of Uganda, all just right here with us. And with me here is the Honorable Aliek Judith. Just come. Just come closer to me here, Honorable Aliek. Honorable Aliek represents the people of Kole. Kole is one of the districts that make a Lango sub-region, Kole. And also the chairperson of the Lango Parliamentary Committee. Well, but as you can also see, we've just received now the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Anita Annette Among. She's being escorted here by Honorable General Thachengo Chero, a woman member of Parliament for Lira City, and also the Minister of Health in this country, and Dr. Christopher Yomunsi. Well, let me talk to Honorable Judith Alekia from Kole. You're very welcome, and I am happy. I am now speaking to you. Talk to us about these cultures that we're seeing, and what should the people expect? Because we're just going to go through a traditional church service here, but what happens after here, especially when we go to the villages?
First of all, I would like to thank the government of Uganda, especially the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for the support that he gave to our late Right Honorable Speaker Jacob Oulanyah from the time he was sick up to the time that he died, and up to now the support is still continuing. We are really grateful because Honorable Jacob Oulanyah has been a great person who really inspired a lot of us as members of Parliament. This is my second term in Parliament, and I've been working very closely with him. He has been a great mentor to me, and then he has been guiding me in several issues, and even on the issues or on the floor of Parliament. So I would like to really thank the government, because the support that they are giving shows a success already in the way things are moving right from the time the body was received from Entebbe a few days ago up to this time that we are at Kololo having the state funeral. It is all moving on very well. So I expect that the time the body is leaving here and going to Moro, which is his constituency, it will still all be well. And we understand it is moving this afternoon. Yes. And even the burial arrangement that is scheduled for Friday, we expect it to be okay, because government has already released the money. We are aware of that, and we really expect everything to be good.
Any final message?
Yes. Jacob Oulanyah, our Right Honorable Speaker, the late, left a good legacy. When we went for meetings in Northern Region, because he has also been the National Vice Chairman for NRM Northern Region. So he went and toured all the 3 sub-regions. Those are the West Nile sub-region, Acholi sub-region, and Lango sub-region. So we moved together, and he really united us together, because all along we have not been together the way we are supposed to be as far as strengthening our party is concerned. So he did a great job, and he's remembered for a lot of things. The list is endless. We cannot mention them all, that we admire his leadership, and really we are going to miss him. But all the same, it happens, because it happens. We have to let it go. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Honorable Judith Aliek is a member of Parliament for Kole district. Kole is one of the districts from Lango sub-region, and she is the chairperson for the Lango Parliamentary. Thank you very much. Happy to have you so much, and of course, thank you for joining us here. Now, well, I have quite a number of them here. And I will, well, now this is the Honorable Charles, I beg your pardon, Mr. Charles Odoch Langoya. And, well, thank you so much. And others here, I can see Mr. Christopher Ebal. And Mr. Christopher Ebal, I also have Mr. Onapa here. My primary headmaster was called Onapa. And I also have Mr. Okello Walter. Happy to have all of you. And of course, Mr. Elamo Jimmy, classmate. He was a classmate with, where was that now? University?
College and Makerere University.
And Makerere University. And how do you relate to him?
He was my freshman when he came to Laibi College. I was already in senior 2, and he came in to join us in senior 1. So he's my freshman.
So you were just a class ahead of Oulanyah?
Correct.
In Laibi?
Yes, correct. Okay. And then we eventually linked up again at Makerere University in 1988.
Okay. So all of you are coming from what they call Lakoba. Lakoba is Laibi College Old Boys Association. I belong to the Spectober. Mine is Spectober, St. Peter's College Old Boys. So I'm from Spectober and you're from Lakoba. Happy to meet comrades from Lakoba. And you?
Jacob was my classmate in St. Joseph College, Laibi, from 1980 to 83.
83?
Yes.
Which classes were these? Which classes were these?
Senior 1 to senior 4.
Senior 1 to senior 4.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you remember about him in school especially? The rest of us know Oulanyah in Parliament. We don't know Oulanyah at Laibi College.
He was very stubborn and very cheeky. You know, we used to go to the Sacred Heart Girls' School every first Sundays of the month. And in the evening, he was one of the people who were very active in cartooning people. Those who never got escorted there's a place we call Disappointment Valley. So he was a very active person, and he used to dance a lot. We had bull dance, and he was very active. There's only one person called Okechagio George who was beating him. But actually was a very nice guy.
You've reminded me about the bull dances. We used to have these bull dances until when we could get some leeway to invite girls from Tororo Girls to come and blend with us. Happy to have you again, Mr. Ebal. How about you, and what are your memories of Jacob Oulanyah in school, especially at Laibi?
When Oulanyah came to Laibi in 1980, I was already in senior 3. So I looked up to him as one of the small boys. But normally the senior 2s were fond of bulldozing the senior 1s. So they would come to senior 3s for refuge. But what I can tell you is that Oulanyah picked most of the good values the Varana father gave us in Laibi. I can tell you, for example, that aspect of God-fearing. Those days, the Varana fathers made sure everybody goes to church, irrespective of your religion. The issue of timekeeping, the Varana fathers made sure we did that. The issue of being practical in whatever you do. There were a lot of practical subjects, because that was a science-based school. There was technical drawing, woodwork, SSP science, SSP physics. So it oriented us to doing things the practical way. So that's how it became very innovative. He's always talking of changing the paradigm. And then when you look at aspects like hard work, we used to have what they call monsoon. Every year they would eliminate
the monsoon winds.
The monsoon wind. 10% of the people would be eliminated.
Our monsoon winds came from a place called Kwapa. They could come sweeping from Kwapa up to a place called Kasori.
Yes. That one, every year people would go. So if you are not hard working, you would not survive. So those aspects of forgiveness and being kind and hard working, which Joseph got, were all as a result of that. What you can say is an accomplished, pragmatic leader who has done the best possible. May his soul rest in eternal glory.
Thank you very much. Mr. Doch, how about you?
I interacted with Jacob mostly on issues to do with development of the college, because I'm the chairman, the board of trustees of the Old Boys Association. So he was a very developmental person, and every time he asked us to go to his office, discuss ways of revamping performance of the college, and we managed to do quite a number of projects with him. 2017, we built a 400 million shilling swimming pool, the first of its kind, and with a lot of his assistance. Just recently, last month, in Feb, while he was in the hospital, he actually sent 5 million shillings to help the teachers put up a poultry project. So he was a very developmental oriented person who always called us to his office, pick up something. He also comes from the generation of the 80s, the generation that never allowed the college to drop below number 10 in the country. So Laibi is remembered for that powerful performance, this generation you see here. So recently we also were working with him on revamping the performance of the college. We were somewhere around number 400, but we managed to come down to number 62 pre-COVID. We slipped back to about 100, but we thought with Jacob we were going to do quite a lot of things to revamp the performance of the college. We shall miss him dearly. May his soul rest in peace.
Finally, for all of you, how should Laibi remember Jacob Oulanyah? Because when you talk about Laibi College, for example, you remind me of the schools. Because I remember when I was going to school, the schools you would want to go to, Laibi, Lango College, Teso College, Alawe, Tororo College. You know, we had these schools, Nabo Malid, Butovere College. These are the schools that all of us wanted to go to. How do you think the legacy of Jacob Oulanyah should be remembered, especially from those who have studied at Laibi College and those who will in the future study at Laibi College? Just in less than a minute for all of you.
He played a big role in bringing teamwork, because we went to Senior 4 at the time when the white headmaster had just left. And we had that feeling that we would not make it, but it was a unifying factor. And he made us work hard, do a lot of research, and we emerged the third best school in the country in 1983. So I think he played a big role in making us work as a team. Thank you.
The Jacob that we are talking about is a man who made himself. The fact that he rose up to where he rose was not by luck. Why do I say this? Because of a number of factors, but two critical ones. Number one, he was a critical thinker. And the manifestation is what you see being celebrated. They're saying he was a great orator. He was a great mentor. That is premised on the characteristics and the attribute that he developed from Laibi College as a critical thinker. Not only a critical thinker, but he would communicate his ideas very eloquently. And that made him a consummate debater. Jacob was also very focused. He would look at a goal, set his goal, and lock his eyes on that goal and work towards achieving that goal. And again, this underlies the fact that the journey he took, you can see from step to step until he became the Speaker of the Republic, the Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, was not by accident, but by the fact that he was a man who would work tirelessly to achieve his goal. We will remember him for these and many other factors. We're proud to be very associated with him. Thank you.
Thank you. In my school, in my old school, Tororo College, we have a dormitory called Bernard Onyango. Bernard Onyango, the late Professor Bernard Onyango of Makerere University. We were told why the dormitory was actually named after Bernard Onyango. I'm only thinking, is there a plan like that to have a dormitory in memory of Jacob Oulanyah? And I think it would be a good feeling for students in there to sleep in a dormitory called Jacob Oulanyah House. I'm only thinking from you.
I think what I can say we should remember Jacob is clarity of goals. He was a very clear-minded person. He was not a mediocre. So really, that's what I can summarize about Jacob. In regard to having something at the school to remember, it will be communicated. Yeah, I leave my senior to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From you, Mr. Bao?
Yeah, he was very humble and very focused. When he wants to do something, he would deliver it. So my view is the best way we can remember him as a school is to name one of the dormitories or even the library, Jacob Oulanyah Memorial Library or Dome. To me, that would be the best. And it is achievable. We shall work towards that.
The way you look, I can only see the way you all look. Nothing that can actually fail. All these very handsome gentlemen.
Yes, I remember Jacob. Jacob joined Senior 1. And immediately upon joining Senior 1, he went straight to the debating club. It was not an easy thing for a person coming from a rural location. Speaking English wasn't a very easy thing. So he immediately went into joining the debating club, and we really remember him for that. But also, our next infrastructure project is an e-learning center, because you notice with the COVID, most of the students in the north did not have that opportunity of going for e-learning. So our next project as OBs is to put up an e-resource center. And as the board, we shall table this and make sure it's approved so that that center is in memory of the late Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Odoch Langoya. Thank you so much. Engineer Christopher Ebal, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. Okello Walter. Thank you so much, Mr. Otim Onapa. My headmaster has called Abraham Kapongoli Onapa in primary school. And thank you so much, Mr. Jimmy Lamo. All these old boys of Libe, a college where they started with. The late now, Right Honorable Jacob Lokoli Oulanyah. Well, we saw the speaker, of course, arriving just a few minutes ago. Thank you so much, this very lovely team from Libe, of course, remembering their own. Many of these started with Jacob Oulanyah, shared porridge in school, posho in school, dormitory, etc. And you know, that's what it is. They came, as you can see them, to also say goodbye to their friend, their comrade, and of course, their own old boy. Now, here is Honorable Wanda Richard, representing Bongoko Central. Bongoko is where the Mufti comes from, I'm sure. So he's a member of parliament for the Mufti of Uganda. Sheikh Saban Ramadan Mubaje. I know the place.
Chairperson of Bugisu Parliamentary Caucus.
Okay.
Together with the vice chairperson.
Honorable Nangoli Jeradia, also from vice chairperson Bugisu.
Aniniro to the late.
Oh, yes, I remember now.
Yes, please.
From Nangware?
Yes, please.
From Nangware?
Yes.
Because the late was from Nangware. Oh, the Bagisu. Okay, from Nangware.
But for me, I'm from Elogon.
You're from Elogon. Is that now the Busai? Bunambodi.
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Magolo. Yes. From Mubungoko North.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
You know I'm a Ugandan.
The General Secretary. Members of Parliament. Yes. At the same time as in-laws.
Okay. Yeah. That I know. From Nangwale. And
Chibedi Segumire from Mitiana North constituency.
Yeah. Okay. Now Chibedi has mingled with Elgon, but what do we have to say? He's an associate, and we Thank you, Honorable Chibedi. I'll start with you. Your memories. You know, I'm very much interested in the Oulanyah after 19th of March 2020. When we get the news that Oulanyah is dead, how did you guys hear that news? How did you feel? And I want to think about that. What came to your minds? What came to your heads as members of parliament? Your speaker is dead. Your friend is dead. Fellow legislator is dead. Your brother-in-law is dead. Because many of you have lived with Oulanyah. You've debated with him. You've been with him in parliament. But I want to look at that period, the 2 weeks here, when we heard that Oulanyah is dead. What came to your mind?
Excuse me, before that, just give me 1 second.
It's okay.
I came to know Oulanyah, the speaker, before becoming a member of parliament myself. I was traveling with him to the US. I stayed with him for a week. Oulanyah became a friend. He was a man of his word. He guided me in several issues. So since then, he became my friend. Now, when he became a member of parliament, and I rang him that he congratulated me that, oh, Segumiri, you are now a member of parliament. You're going to work together to see the development of this country. So he told me that I'm going to stand as a member. I remember Oulanyah. He met me on the veranda of Parliament, and he said, "Oh, Chibedi, how is Mitiana?" I said, "Mitiana is fine, but we need so many things." He said, "It's okay. I'll be able to help you. I've been here. I know how to go about it." I was so happy. And when we went in Parliament in plenary, he singled me out. He said, "What do you have to say about Mitiana?" I talked about Mitiana. Oulanyah was a great man. He was a great man. We are going to miss him. He was a very, very good man. But unfortunately, who he gives, he has taken. So we have nothing to do, but we are going to miss him. The country is going to miss him. Friends are going to miss him. And his people are going to miss him. Yeah.
Thank you. Honorable Magolo.
Yes. Uganda has lost a gallant son, a great leader, a lawmaker, an eloquent and articulate, knowledgeable legislator. That's the unfortunate bit. Unfortunately, but life has to carry on. But the beauty is that this man has emulated himself in many Ugandans. Every member of parliament is speaking about the rule of law, about knowledge in legislation, and so we are taking on what he has left. The best way to remember Right Honorable Oulanyah is to exactly do what he loved. Rule of law, being grounded in law and making arguments, sharpening arguments, not the voice. And so that is what he has left with us. But he has also built successors. He has not left the country, he has not left parliament as a shadow. We are not in a crisis because he has mentored people who are stepping in his shoes, and the parliament is going to move forward, especially the people who have already worked. He has already worked with him. Kale, we are just moving forward. It's unfortunate, but we have to move forward. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Mukwasi.
Thank you so much. Fellow Ugandans, it is really a great loss. We are still mourning, and when I heard about the death of Oulanyah on 20th March, I could not believe until when I was in Entebbe to receive the body. I happened to have been part of the delegation to receive the body. I personally have been too close to Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah because I was his coordinator in charge of Bugesu sub-region during speakership candidature. But the reality is Oulanyah was a person who is result-oriented. I got to know Oulanyah last year, 2021, around February, before I was sworn in as a member of parliament. And when I went to his office, he asked me, Gerard, I can see all the time you're on form, what is the problem? And I told him that I have my coordinator who lost an election in Kabsam County, but he has applied in Uganda prisons for a cadet officer's job, and he has been shortlisted, but I don't know whom to contact. And he told me, sit down, put off your phone, give me the name of the boy. I gave him the name of the boy. He called the commissioner of prisons. There and then the boss called for interview, and he's working. So that was Oulanyah. He does not tell you come tomorrow. He will solve your problem there and then. If it's not, he will tell you this one is not possible. Let's go in the plenary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our time is running out. Honorable Modoi Isaac, say something in 30 seconds.
Now, for me, I'm called Honorable Modoi Isaac. I come from Bududa, constituency called Lutseshe. That's where the wife, the late wife of Honorable, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, rather Speaker, got the wife from Inginia Nangwale. Actually, my brother, elder brother, Honorable Chikona, is supposed to represent us. Actually, we are the Vako to the late. What I can say that he looked after our sister very well. On top of that, he created us a relationship. He's a very man who speaks his mind, very thorough, and he loved the nation. And the reconciliation part of it is what we must carry forward. As I spoke yesterday in Parliament, on floor Parliament, the way people have been apologizing to one another, the way people have said we love one another, the way he has said that we must hold Uganda as one, to me, I believe that's a big legacy that he has left for us. We think we are going to miss him, but the challenge we have as members of Parliament is to live in the shoes of Oulanyah and make policies that they touch the person of down, the person of the lower ground, because those are the people that we represent. May God bless this peace.
Thank you very much. Say something, Mr. Chairman of the Elgon Parliamentary Committee.
Thank you so much. As a parliament, first of all, the news came as a surprise. Our hope was that Right Honorable Oulanyah, the late now, was going to get better. So when we were informed that he had passed on, it was a shock because we had earlier got information that he was improving. But in him, we have lost a nationalist, a Pan-African, a man who believed in results, as my colleagues have put it. But above all, he believed in being thorough. You need your facts before you present anything, and he believed that everything was possible by negotiation. As a people, the people of Bugesu, we mourn our in-law. As a nation, we are mourning. But what I can say that it's not lost. There are people he has worked with who have learned his way of work. we believe will push Parliament ahead. One thing I want us all to pick from the late Honorable Jacob Oulanyah is that in every person, he looked for something important to pick, something good, because all people have many factors around them, but he looked for that strong point and picked it.
He was more concerned with what unites us than what divides us. Thank you so much, Honorable Member of Parliament.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, these are the brothers-in-law to the late Jacob Oulanyah, just like you heard from them. Now, talk to just two of Oulanyah's comrades here, and these are the bikers. We've seen them yesterday when we had that procession from Majidum Siklos in Mienga, and of course today when the body was leaving Parliament to come down here to Kololo, it was of course led by the bikers here. And of course, this is one of them, Angela Semukutu. She is a biker, and of course, she's been doing this with Jacob Oulanyah. Just like everybody is saying they will miss Jacob Oulanyah, we know you will miss Jacob Oulanyah in different categories. We've related to Jacob Oulanyah differently, but I want to hear from you in just a minute or two about your memories of Oulanyah, especially when you had the bad news that your member, friend Oulanyah had actually gone.
Okay, thank you very much. One of Jacob's saying was, loving one another is a command from God. So for us, sitting down with Jacob and riding with him, that is the love we had for him and him for us. He actually found solace riding with us. He had fun with us, and he loved his bike. He had a passion for riding, and what more can you tell a giant from Acholi land? This was what he wanted. A lot of people here knew him from Parliament. For us, we knew the downside of the Botai giant from Acholi sub-region. So we know him from that side as the gentle guy, the gentle bear, the generous guy, very humorous, kind, and loved activities surrounding humanity.
How do you intend to remember him away from all this, finally, in just 30 seconds?
How do we intend to remember him? We have already done what we've called the Joma run. That's a Jacob Oulanyah Memorial Run. So we are going to go to the northern part of the country. We're going to look at some of the activities that the speaker was very passionate about. And we hope that we can pick one with which we can carry his legacy on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Angela.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is where we are now. The Bola dancers, as you can see, now taking center stage again of what the ceremonies and the celebrations are happening here. Earlier on, you heard from Honorable Okot, who actually told us when they're dancing, the way they sing, the rhythm, and everything that is attached to that is mourning. But of course, this does not happen to every person who dies. It is only for the royals, the prince, the princesses, and the kings and the queens, and the people that they regard extraordinarily amongst their culture. Oulanyah Jacob being one of those. Now, you remember that Oulanyah Jacob is not a cultural leader, is not one of those, but because of who he is and how distinguished he has been in this community and of course to this country. That's why we now see the Bola dancers here performing and doing what they know how to do best. I told you this does not only happen here in Uganda, but we have also heard and seen some other cultures. The Kenga people in central South Sudan also do and perform a similar dance at such a ceremony when they are celebrating, when it's victory for them, and when they are mourning their beloved ones. They have always done such a thing. We have the Maori of New Zealand who also do what they call the haka dance. And they also perform the haka dance, especially at such events. And of course, there is also another dance that is called the dingy dance for the people in Jamaica. So these some of the cultures that are unique to some people and some persons across the country, across the continent, across the world, and across the globe. So when you see this, don't be surprised. Your culture may not know what this means, but to them, this is the befitting send-off of their own member of the community who has distinguished himself, and of course with distinguished service to the community and of course to the country. Now welcome to what is happening here at Kololo. My name is Jagenda Semakola Ziksoka. We will be with you until the end of this ceremony today. Welcome again.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
Tuanuka, asante sana ndugu Jagenda Semakula kwa kutuwezesha kujua kile kinachoendelea pale katika uwanja wa uhuru wa Kololo. Na ndugu mtazamaji, bado ni siku ya maombolezi ya kitaifa ambapo tunaona kwamba leo mgeni wa heshima mgeni rasmi atakuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Uganda, Rais Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, na nikiwa na mwenzangu hapa James Mtuta. Mtuta, back from what we are seeing at Kololo, what do you have to say?
Asante sana ndugu. Now, anytime now we're expecting that the service will start and the President of the Republic will be arriving in Kololo for the state service for the late Honorable Speaker of Parliament. We have heard from people who went to school with him, people who have worked with him, people he has mentored, and people he has helped in one way or the other, especially the young politicians who joined him. I heard from my brother, Macho, who said he had sent him to go and talk to God about the prices, like God has not read from Uganda about the prices. Now, and we have heard many of the attributes from a cross-section of people who either have worked with him or some have interacted with him. We heard from the bikers. So, like we have heard, indeed, the Honorable Oulanyah was a cross-cutting figure. Be the women, be the men, be the youth. And that's a lot that we're hearing from him. And for the viewers who are following us now, we can confirm that the President of the Republic of Uganda is now arriving at Kololo. And from here, we shall be continuing with the official now service of the prayers for the late speaker. And after which, I think we will be back with the final arrangements as the body will be leaving Kololo for his home district of Omoro for burial.
Well, Ndugu Jagenda did not take us through over who has come actually, the dignitaries from outside Uganda.
Yeah, but we heard from Congo only.
You've just had a delegation from Congo. We expect a delegation from Tanzania,
especially
Kenya, especially from the East African parliaments. We expect a delegation, even from Yala, I think
even the Commonwealth, even the Commonwealth. There must be people, but you know.
Yes. We most welcome Your Excellency the President.
Yes, now we hand you over to Kololo now that the Fountain of Honor, who is the chief mourner, has arrived.
You are most welcome, sir. You are most welcome, the First Lady.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Tibuhaburwa Museveni, and Mama Janet Museveni, the First Lady, you are most welcome. And thank you for organizing this function for us so that we can also pay tribute to our own. We shall now... Yes, Acholi cultural troupe, please. Yeah. Your Excellency, that is their way of paying tribute to their own. Can we now first stop? Now we are going to have the anthems, the national anthem, the East African and East African Community Anthem. Your Excellency and the distinguished guests, I think we can take our seats. Your Excellency, it's mainly a function of prayers in honor of Right Honorable Jacob Lokori Oulanyah. We are saying this not mentioning him as the late, because when Jesus was teaching us, he said, God said, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. Yes, we are here with the body of our beloved, but the soul is living somewhere. Your Excellency, now we are going into the church service, which will be led by His Grace, the Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, Archbishop of the Church of Uganda. He is also accompanied by other religious leaders, His Grace Paul Semogerere, Archbishop of Kampala Diocese, and also present is Archbishop Geronimus Muzei of the Orthodox Church, and His Eminence Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubaje, the Mufti of Uganda. And then for the Pentecostal Church, we have Bishop Joshua Luere, the chairperson of the National Fellowship of Born Again Pentecostal Churches. But the main celebrant today will be His Grace, the Archbishop, the Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, Archbishop of the Church of Uganda. Your Excellency, please allow me to hand over to the church.
At this moment of sorrow, we are reminded by the words of the author in Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 21. And this I have in my mind, and I have hope, for the Lord is great in love, we are not consumed. For His compassions never fail, they are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. And I said to myself, the Lord is my portion. I'll always wait for Him. Your Excellency and Mama, the Chief Mourner, and all other mourners, I want to welcome all of you, and especially brothers and sisters from other religious bodies, as already welcomed. To God be the glory. And here we have also Dr. Sirada, who will bring a message on behalf of Inter-Religious Council later on. We have Captain Sentongo representing the Church Army. We have Dr. Julius Oyet, Provincial Secretary Canon William Ongeng, the DS of Kampala, Canon Awadi, Provost of All Saints, Dr. Nyegenye, and the Assistant Jaffu, Kanuni Barwa, Reverend Kansime. We also have Reverend Onesimus, Chapel Makerere University, Reverend Onyuchi from Chiwiriza. But I want to appreciate and introduce in a special way Reverend Canon Christine Shimanya. Would you like to stand up? She has done a great work. She's a chaplain Anglicans in the Parliament. Well done. Thank you very much. Everybody here present, you are welcome. Let us be comforted by God's word today. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Let us all stand. We are all going to stand and turn to page 6 and sing together that hymn led by the choir.
Page 6.
My daughter Tim, as you celebrate your 16 years, your father's wish to me. He wishes Tim to study out in Canada. Those were his last words. And I told Jacob, so long as I'm alive, I will do whatever is humanly possible